Welcome back to ACB Wrestling Talk, your main source for wrestling news and wrestling discussions. I am your host, Alexis Carrillo, and let's get into some wrestling talk. And of course, the biggest news coming out of last night's AEW Dynamite broadcast was Cody Rhodes. Cody, just in AEW, he just goes by Cody now. His big announcement regarding his career, regarding his AEW executive position, regarding his world title match coming up this Saturday night at Full Gear in Baltimore, Maryland. And first of all, he delivered a spectacular promo, paying homage to his father, Dusty Rhodes, and the crowd I just loved how the crowd reacted as soon as Cody mentioned his father. They just started chanting Dusty, and I got goosebumps. Again, just gotta reiterate, this is just me watching clips on YouTube. I don't have cable right now. So with that said, he also talked about a silver spoon and how Chris Jericho has criticized him for being a millennial. And Cody pretty much called him out on the fact that Chris Jericho grew up with his own silver spoon, and the fact that Chris Jericho needs this entire quote-unquote millennial guys more than they need him. But overall, the biggest news coming out of his promo was the fact that he made the announcement that if he were not able to defeat Chris Jericho at Full Gear this Saturday night and become the brand new All Elite Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion, that Cody would never, ever, a little Y2J flavor right there, challenge for the AEW World Championship again. That announcement in that promo shocked quite a lot of people, quite a lot of fans. However, it did not have that effect on me, because I've been a wrestling fan for pretty much 15 years now. 15 years, almost 15 years. And it's safe to say that most stipulations don't stick. It's safe to say that when you put your career on the line, that may be, valid for a few months, for a few years, but you eventually come back. This is pro wrestling. This is sports entertainment after all. And in my opinion, this whole announcement is just to, try to get fans to purchase the event. Maybe they're expecting Cody to actually win the world title, and for all I know, he will. He might. And we'll get more into that on tomorrow's show, ACB Wrestling Talk, where I'm gonna have a Full Gear pay-per-view preview, each and every single match scheduled for that card. But right now, this whole stipulation of Cody putting this never having a world title match again stipulation in the match, that really only tells me that they're trying to get fans to buy the pay-per-view. They're trying to get fans to invest in the pay-per-view. And as far as if he would lose, and therefore by the stipulation he would never have another AEW World Championship match, all he has to do is, turn heel, as everyone does, turn heel, and I guess he needs someone in power to, kind of revoke that stipulation. And guess what? Cody's a guy in power in AEW. He's an executive vice president. That's all it takes for this stipulation to go away. So again, pretty big announcement, great promo, great entertainment. But at the end of the day, I'm not falling for this stipulation that Cody has inserted into his match. But what do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you think that even if Cody were to lose this Saturday, he would eventually get another world title shot? Or do you think that this is a stipulation that sticks and AEW is different and they're going to follow their own rules? Leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions in the comment section below. And now we get more into what actually happened during Dynamite. We already talked about the great promo by Cody. And again, this was the go-home show, the first go-home Wednesday night Dynamite broadcast for All Elite Wrestling going into Full Gear. And it's safe to say they didn't disappoint. They didn't surprise anyone. I mean, it's a go-home show. They did what most companies have done in the past. They created total anarchy, total chaos with the Elite versus the Inner Circle. And then you insert Jon Moxley into that whole brawl at the end of the show. It was exciting. The fans were into it, and the fans in the arena were clearly into it. So again, pretty much a textbook go-home show by Dynamite, by AEW, towards Full Gear. Let's see if, it helps in elevating their pay-per-view buy rates for Full Gear. And finally, one thing I want to highlight is the fact that I cannot wait for Brandy Rhodes and Awesome Kong to make their quote-unquote debut/return to AEW Dynamite. I cannot wait for that to happen because I've got to say I've been pretty underwhelmed with the AEW women's division. It's not the wrestling. The wrestling is pretty damn fine. It's pretty damn entertaining. Riho has proved to be quite a good champion. Britt Baker is a character I am most certainly interested in. But other than that, there aren't many characters that, bring interest to that division. And someone who is the wife of an executive vice president like Cody, Brandy Rhodes, who is a very skilled wrestler in her own right, but, she has some backup. She has a bodyguard, she has someone watching her back, and that is the amazing, awesome Kong, who's quite a legend in professional wrestling today, then, now, and forever. So cannot wait for them to make their debut return again. It's kind of confusing because I believe we saw them in a previous pay-per-view event. Hell, for all I know, they might show up at Full Gear this Sunday night. We'll just have to wait and see. So what do you think about last night's Dynamite broadcast? Do you think it was a good show, a good go-home show to advertise for the Full Gear pay-per-view? Or do you agree with me? It was nothing too surprising. It was nothing too noteworthy. It was just textbook go-home show. Leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions in the comment section below. And then we go to the other side of the camp, to the other side of the war in these Wednesday night wars. NXT had quite a few questions going into it. Number one, would Raw and SmackDown retaliate for the recent invasion by NXT superstars to the main roster? That was kind of answered because the OC, AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, they attacked the NXT champions, the Undisputed Era, before the show. They apparently took them out for the entirety of the 2-hour broadcast, which again, with professional wrestling, you kind of have to suspend your disbelief, but it's just sometimes it doesn't make sense for someone who can go 30, 40 minutes in a very hardcore match to be taken out in a 1 to 2 minute brawl backstage and be out for 2 hours. To me, that doesn't make sense. But again, in professional wrestling, you have to suspend your disbelief like in any form of entertainment. And the OC made quite a statement in that ring, declaring that they were now in control of NXT, and that was undisputed. Well, it didn't take long for Tommaso Ciampa to come out. Blackheart himself, pretty much a fan favorite with NXT ever since his return. And eventually Keith Lee and Matt Riddle joined him, and they set up this big 6-man tag team main event for NXT last night. From that match, it was very surprising to see Finn Balor come out. Balor, obviously, with a lot of question marks, with a lot of unanswered questions towards NXT fans. He turned heel just a few weeks earlier against Johnny Gargano. It seemed that pursuing a rivalry, pursuing a feud against Gargano in the very near future is what Finn Balor should do or should pursue, but it's going to be very hard to not place Finn Balor against Tommaso Ciampa. That's a very interesting matchup. It's going to be very hard not to place Finn Balor in an NXT title program against Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era. That's very attractive television and storytelling that they could pursue in NXT. Again, Finn Balor returning and most importantly turning heel and bringing an edge to his character certainly opened up quite a lot of doors for NXT to tell brilliant, entertaining, and compelling storylines. And now we have to add to the fact that when Finn Balor laid out, I believe he laid out Matt Riddle outside of the ring, right on the ramp, he threw up his, the Bullet Club signs. I think it was, like this, where AJ Styles responded with his Too Sweet gesture, I believe. And that obviously gets fans hyped up because, it's not too far ago that AJ Styles and Finn Balor and Gallows and Anderson were all in the same club. They were all the club, the Bullet Club. That might be in Finn Balor's future. Again, too many questions left unanswered, but very much looking forward to the answers. And then we had Adam Cole returning. Obviously, he's the NXT champion. He has to hold down the fort. He has to hold down his pride, and he did just that by attacking AJ Styles. But I was kind of expecting more of an all-out invasion by the main roster on NXT. Now, that may happen pretty much on the Wednesday before Survivor Series. That might be the show that they're waiting on to eventually pull the trigger and have an all-out invasion on NXT. That's not out of the question, but it's a little bit underwhelming to have NXT, like half of the NXT roster invade SmackDown on Friday, half of the NXT roster, or a little bit less than half of the NXT roster invade Raw on Monday, and then you show up on Wednesday night NXT and it's just the OC. So that was a little bit underwhelming, and we've got two War Games match scheduled for NXT TakeOver War Games. One historic War Games match has the women's division stamped all over it, as the NXT Women's Champion Shayna Baszler is joined by Io Shirai and Bianca Belair, and I believe she hasn't made her fourth team member official. She hasn't announced it yet, but they're going to be facing off against Rhea Ripley, Tegan Nox, Mia Yim, and Candice LeRae in an 8-women War Games match. Once again, the women's evolution in WWE's own words, rising up to the occasion, and now for the first time ever we're going to have a women's War Games match. And it seems that the men are going to have their own, so we're going to have 2 War Games match at TakeOver War Games. NXT now following suit what the main roster has done so many times in the past. 2 gimmick matches on the very same event. And this one, it seems like it's going to be the Undisputed Era, all 4, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, Bobby Fish, versus the team of Tommaso Ciampa, Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, and I'm guessing Johnny Gargano, maybe, possibly, I don't know. But, we're revving up towards TakeOver War Games, and it's going to be quite a weekend for NXT, because I believe it's the same weekend as Survivor Series, so NXT going to be putting double duty, especially on Sunday when they have to, put their brand and put their pride on the line against Raw and SmackDown. But we'll just have to wait and see. Finally, we have 2 more topics right here on ACB Wrestling Talk, 2 topics that are very recurring, at least in my mind, in wrestling news today. Number 1, if you are active on social media, if you follow the monster among men, Braun Strowman, on social media, you know that he recently sent out a tweet regarding fans approaching him at the airport, and I'm just going to read his tweet regarding this, and I quote, "Yelling my name at the top of your lungs while I'm trying to get through the airport is a guaranteed way for you not to get a picture with effing me. Hashtag has some class. He wrote on Twitter. This is a very controversial topic, to say the least, because there are much like there are two sides to every argument. Right here, there are two sides to these kinds of interactions. You have the fans who, in their mind, sacrifice their sleep, sacrifice their night, sacrifice their early morning to go to the airport and try to approach their quote-unquote idols, the people they look up to, and get an autograph, get a picture with a WWE superstar or with any wrestler pretty much at that point. And fans believe that because they do that, and because WWE superstars and wrestlers are these public figures, that they should pretty much do whatever the fans want. Or you know, and do it, especially do it with a smile on their face and not be so uncomfortable about it. Now, that's the fans' point of view, at least from what I've seen on social media. But there is a WWE superstar's point of view. There is a wrestler's point of view. And you might be asking yourself, how would you know about their point of view? You're not a wrestler. You're not a WWE superstar. You're right. I'm not. And I most likely will never will be. But I could still kind of try to put myself in their shoes and try to look at this entire situation from their point of view. And the fact is that they're traveling pretty much 24/7 for upwards of 300 days a year. Okay? That's what they're doing. Most of the flights take place in the early morning, right after a show, right after an event, right after Raw, SmackDown, NXT, a pay-per-view, after a live event, whatever. It happens right after these kind of things. So it's safe to say that wrestlers don't really get any kind of sleep. And if you're like any human being out there, if you don't get any sleep and you have to wake up early in the morning, I know I do, you get a little bit cranky. I'm always a little bit cranky when I get woken up at 5 a.m. But I understand that it's not their fault. And again, wrestlers, WWE superstars, they should understand that it's not their fault. It's not the fans' fault. But like I said, there are two sides to the coin. Okay? Don't expect wrestlers to be all in character or happy about encountering fans at the airport when they're just trying to board their flight, where they are most likely going to try and get some sleep and rest after a hard working night before, for, you know, an autograph or for a picture that most likely you might try and sell. You might try and sell on eBay. You might try and post on social media to get some likes. Again, wrestlers, WWE superstars are public figures, but they are also human beings, and thus they're subjected to the same feelings that we have. You try waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning with something that you know you have to do, something you know you have to get done, and then you have 5, 10, 15, 20 fans approaching you on your way to getting the thing done, trying to benefit themselves, trying to, again, you know, be fans, sometimes just be fans and try to express their support for the wrestler. But still, it's kind of a little distracting, it's uncomfortable, and that's kind of my view on it. It's kind of my view on it. That's why you go to WWE events, you go to signings, you go to fan conventions. That's where wrestlers are on the job. That's when they are pretty much, they know, they are wired in their brain that every single fan, they're going to get what they want. They're going to get the customer service, for lack of a better term, for their money's worth. That's the right way to do that. Not so much at the airport when, you know, wrestlers and superstars are thinking about their private life and they don't want to be bothered. But hey, that's just my point of view on the situation. You might have it differently. Again, you know, this is just one guy giving his opinion from one guy's point of view. You might have a different one. Feel free to leave it on the comment section below. And finally, to close out today's show, we have the former Universal Champion Seth Rollins, who's had a change of attitude, to say the least. Ever since, you know, losing the Universal Championship, even before that, Seth Rollins has kind of fallen out of grace with the WWE Universe. And that's just to put it lightly. Because Seth Rollins, when he comes out, he might get the big pop on Burn It Down. Because WWE fans and wrestling fans love to interact and be a part of the show. But when he's in the ring, when he's delivering a promo, and when he's having a match, he doesn't quite get the pop he used to at the beginning of the year. That's, you know, that's pretty damn clear right now. And Seth Rollins has explained or expressed his frustrations with WWE fans because he's mentioned the fact that that he became what they wanted him to be, and now they're hating him for that. Especially after that abysmal ending to the Hell in a Cell match against the Fiend Bray Wyatt. Especially after that. So the real question is, why has Seth Rollins lost a little bit of steam? Why has he fallen from grace with the WWE fans? And from my point of view, it's just the chronic illness that is the WWE babyface. To me, that's just a fact. It happened to Elias when they tried to turn Elias into a babyface. He went from this disrespecting, doesn't give a damn character to this pandering buffoon, asking the fans how they feel about him and should I do this, should I do that, would you like me to do this, would you like me to do that, and I do this for you and you do this for me kind of character, and fans don't like that. Fans don't like that. They really don't. They love the anti-hero. They love the character that they want to watch. The character that beats to his own drum and doesn't give a damn about the fans, but can still be so charismatic and still be so over the damn top that he's so damn entertaining, you can't hate him. Guys like Stone Cold, guys like The Rock, guys like Becky Lynch, guys like CM Punk, those kinds of guys are what fans are attracted to. And Seth Rollins can deliver one hell of a promo. We've seen that in the past when he's been a heel. As a babyface, it's a little bit harder when he's constantly pandering to the crowd. And again, it's a chronic illness in WWE. It's a chronic illness with the babyfaces. Very few make it work. John Cena in the past made it work. The New Day today makes it work. Very few. Seth Rollins, right now, not so much. And I think it's something they have to change. Because at the end of the day, to me, wrestling, sports entertainment, you're trying to tell stories with characters. Wrestlers might not like being called or being looked at as characters on TV, but that's what they are. They're characters and they're telling a story. So, stick to your character. Just because you switch sides doesn't mean you now disrespect the crowd, doesn't mean you now pander to them. Stick to character. Stick to yourself. That's it. That's it. Don't give a damn about what the fans think. Exactly what Paige said on the premiere episode of WWE Backstage. Maybe Seth Rollins should be more like his fiancée Becky Lynch, the Raw Women's Champion. Becky appears to not care as much what fans think. That's working for her. Rollins, do the same. Don't give a damn. Stop pandering to them. Focus on you. Focus on getting the world title back. Again, This is just from a character point of view. So, those are my thoughts on Seth Rollins and his entire situation right now. Every time I see him out in the ring, I see him a little bit more discouraged with talking to the fans. Again, just focus on yourself, focus on your character, and stop caring what fans think. So with that said, that's going to end today's edition of ACB Wrestling Talk. Tons of news to go around, tons of topics to go around, and well, tomorrow I'm going to be previewing Saturday night's AEW Full Gear pay-per-view. You don't want to miss that. Go ahead and click the subscribe button so you don't miss it tomorrow. And, I've been Alexis Carrillo. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you dislike this video, hit the dislike button. That's it for me. Till next time.